And what you just mentioned about gold, and that sort of answered that question. I was saying, do you think we've seen the ceiling? You're saying no. How do you think metals are going to go before they stabilize? Or how low do you think currency will go before it stabilizes?
The support levels on the U.S. dollar and the USDX, which is versus 6 other major currencies, is 74. And we're going to get a rally here, it started and it got caught in the bud today. It lost most of what it gained yesterday. I'm looking for 74 for support on a short to medium term basis, which would be weeks to a few months. And then 71.18, which is the former low. And that could last 3 to 6 months. Who knows?
Wow.
Once that's broken, everybody in the world is going to know it's headed to 40 to 45. And I have put in my latest publication, which came out today, that I believe it is imperative that the nations of the world in the next 6 months have a meeting similar to the Smithsonian meetings of the early 70s, Plaza Accord of 85, Louvre Accord of 87. They all get together. They devalue all of the currencies in the world and have a multilateral debt default. And if they don't do that, everything's going upside down.
Well, I don't think they're going to do that. I mean, right now they're talking about having a major currency trade war between the U.S. and China. What's going to come of that, do you think?
Well, first of all, the trade war is really part of the problem that was created by Congress with NAFTA, CAFTA, and WTO, which actually began in 1962 on the GATT, became WTO in 1986. And our country is in the condition it's in today. 75% of the problem is free trade, globalization, offshoring, and outsourcing. We've lost 8.5 million jobs in 12 years. No, excuse me, in 10 years. And we can't afford that any longer. And the transnational conglomerates continue to do it. So what do we need? We need trade barriers on goods and services, which we have had since the year 1800.
Yeah, see,
and we got to do it again.
I've been saying that for years, and people always shoot me down. It's such an unpopular notion that we have anything to create a trade, more of a balance in trade. But no. I'm an old-fashioned. It's so great to hear somebody else say that trade barriers are useful. Well,
the only other economist that I can cite that says what I do is Paul Craig Roberts. Mm-hmm. And he's 81 now. I'm 75. So I guess we're old moss back conservatives. But the point is, it's the only thing that can save the American economy.
And hey, I'm only 55, and I still think that. It's not just your generation. It's people who think. Germany and I think Italy are looking at reintroducing their own currencies as an alternative to the euro. Do you think in the United States some of the states might try a similar tactic to introduce a state currency as an alternative to Federal Reserve notes?
It's possible, and it's legal. And that can happen. Whether it will or not, I really don't know. All I know is that the system that we have is not working very well, to say the least. Gold and silver are going to go expressively higher. There's been a battle going on for 18 months between the dollar and gold is one hands down already. The dollar is doomed.
Yeah.
The only way the dollar can be resuscitated is if they really have the 8,000 tons that they say they have of gold, then they could go back on a gold standard.
Yeah,
but they don't have the dollar in part.
Yeah.
But I don't think they have the gold.
Yeah.
I know that there's gold there because we have subscribers who used to inspect the gold. These are military people. And it's there, but I don't know who it belongs to, and I don't know whether it's not tungsten coated with gold covering.
Exactly, and there was
they've never been drilled.
Well, it was,
and we haven't had an audit since 1954.
Right. It was my understanding, though, back then that there was some question about the purity, that some unresolved question about it, even back then. So,
well, that's true, and how that happened is some of the gold, and I don't know what the percentage is, was melted coins. It's called coin melt. And we've seen it appear over the last several years in markets. It's not good delivery. And that runs anywhere between 82 and 90, 88, 92% pure gold because it has to be reprocessed. And so they may have it, they may not, we don't know. If they don't, America has got a serious problem.
Well, pretty soon we'll just be able to go to a vending machine. They started in Germany, they're starting to put them in Europe, and they're coming to the U.S. What do you think the new gold vending machines are going to have?
It's going to cause a terrible headache, the people from behind the scenes who are running things. And we got them on the run now. Talk radio and the Internet have decimated them. They've never thought that we could have informed hundreds of millions of people throughout the world. You know, I do 30 hours a week on the radio, and I'm reaching now hundreds of millions of people. I mean, we have subscribers everywhere. I do BBC, the great national radio and television, Deutsche Welle, you name it, I'm on it.
Well, I think it'll be interesting. I think we're going to see a lot of crime around these vending machines as well. I have a final question for you here, and I may be going out, on a idealistic tack, if you will, but in the wake of the economic crisis, do you see any chance of a more pay-as-you-go attitude permeating the United States culture? Or is it just a waiting game until we see a restoration of the same old borrow to live beyond your means today and let someone else worry about paying it back tomorrow attitude? In other words, can we use what we're going through in the economy to break out of the debt-based Keynesian modality?
Well, the Keynesian modality is nothing but unabashed corporatist fascism. And I was trained under that in university just like everybody else was. But that's really what it is. And the people are realizing that. Maybe not in those terms, but they know it doesn't work and isn't working. And they are pulling back. They are cutting back in the use of credit, particularly in the credit card area. New figures came out today expressing that. And so America's changing. And I tell people what you have to do is think and live like you did that in the 1940s and 50s, because that's where we're headed.
I hope you are right. I think, I believe there is so much that we could do that is good. So much amazing stuff we could do if we would just get our money issues in order. Can you tell us a bit about the International Forecaster? I want people to have information. I want them to go over to the website, which, by the way, is www.internationalforecaster.com. Bob?
The International Forecaster is about business, finance, economic, social, and political issues all over the world. We publish Wednesday and Saturday by email. Runs around 40 pages each time. We have a hard copy that goes out twice a month for those who are not on the Internet. You can get a free introductory copy by going to theinternationalforecaster.com. The International, Forecascer.com, or www.intforecascer.com. That's intforecaster.com. You can email us. We answer all questions. The email address is Bob, B-O-B, at intforecaster.com. Bob at intforecaster.com. Or you can call toll-free 877-479-8178. That's 877-479-8178. 8178. They have a special deal there for those of you who would like to become subscribers. And you could get a free 1-year subscription. And I would recommend that you do call because it's a terrific deal.
And I just want to make sure I got it right. The website itself is THE, the International Forecaster, correct?
.com. Yes,
Got
that's
it.
right.
Okay, I didn't have that on my notes, and I want to make sure when I give it again as we are segueing out that I get it right. Absolutely. One last thing on the political landscape. Is there any race, are there any candidates that you're looking at that you think can or will make a major difference in one direction or another, assuming that they are elected? Anybody you're keeping close eye on?
Well, it's interesting. I haven't followed them that closely. I just want major changes in both parties because most all of them are getting paid off. And it's a disgrace and it's disgusting and it's worse right now than it's ever been. If I had to name one candidate, Jim Traficant is rerunning as a Democrat in Ohio. He spent 7 years in jail because the government didn't like what he had to say. And I hope he gets elected.
All right. Excellent. Bob Chapman, thank you so much. It's never enough time. I could do a whole show with you and we would not get bored and we'd have so much to talk about. But I really appreciate your thoroughness on these issues and I appreciate your coming to speak to me and our listeners here. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Well, thank you very much, and I'll come anytime you want, and I want to thank you all for listening.
Thank you. And again, folks, www.theinternationalforecaster, forecaster, FORECASTER.com, internationalforecaster.com. The toll-free number is 877-479-8178, 877-479-8178. That's Bob Chapman. And yes, he's a former spy. So when he comes out and he evaluates some of these questions about the president and the politics, he's coming from a whole different place than you or I.